Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Ward, and today I'm presenting my research titled Reimagining Trust Leveraging Trust and Autonomy to Move Beyond Compliance Driven Leadership. This work stems from my problem of practice, which focuses on how urban Title I schools, particularly those serving Black students, often operate in environments shaped by distrust, rigid accountability structures, and limited teacher agency. These conditions can hinder instructional growth and ultimately contribute to ongoing literacy disparities. We know that literacy is critical for life outcomes, and yet Black students in urban Title I schools consistently perform below their peers on national assessments of reading, according to the National Assessment of Education Progress 2022. My research investigates how trust, autonomy, and receptiveness to feedback function within this landscape, especially how they shape teacher practice and indirectly student outcomes. So, the purpose of my research was twofold. Number one, I sought to better understand the levels of trust in urban Title I schools that teachers have in their school principals. And second, I aim to examine how teachers' perceptions of autonomy relate to their receptiveness to instructional feedback. My ultimate aim was to use this understanding to inform leadership practices to foster stronger relationships and more responsive coaching, especially in schools serving marginalized students. I used Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory as the theoretical framework, which considers how different layers of influence shape individual behavior. For my study, I focused particularly on the exosystem, the organizational conditions that indirectly impact students, such as leadership practices and teacher experiences. So, across the systems, the chronosystem reflects the historical forces that shaped inequitable structures. The macrosystem included the deficit ideologies and racialized beliefs about students and the teachers who teach in Title I schools. The exosystem is where I centered my research on trust, autonomy, and feedback. And then the microsystem represents the teacher-student relationship and classroom practice specifically. The mesosystem reflects the interactions across these domains. So I conducted a mixed methods needs assessment using a convergent parallel design. I surveyed 28 K-2 teachers working in urban Title I schools in East Coast districts. I used validated instruments, the Omnibus Trust Scale and the Teaching Autonomy Scale. Then I also conducted semi-structured interviews with 5 teachers to gain deeper insight into how trust and autonomy shaped their receptiveness to feedback. So my key findings, let's start with trust. Survey results revealed that teachers' levels of trust in school principals was neutral, but the interviews showed that benevolence, reliability, and competence were critical factors influencing trust. Teachers were more receptive to feedback when they believed their principals had their best interest at heart and then followed through on their commitments. For autonomy, teachers also reported neutral levels of professional autonomy, but interviews revealed that autonomy was interpreted as a signal of how much trust the principal had in them, not necessarily their trust in the principal. So autonomy matters, but more as a reflection of principal trust. And then finally, feedback. Teachers were more open to feedback when trust was high and they felt ownership over their professional decisions. Where trust and autonomy was lacking, feedback was often seen as compliance-driven or evaluative instead of developmental. So if you see the visual of my conceptual framework, trust, autonomy, and receptiveness to feedback are central exosystem factors that influence teacher behavior. These in turn impact classroom practice and ultimately student literacy achievement. When these factors are strengthened, teachers are more likely to embrace feedback and implement practices that meet the needs of Black students in urban Title I schools. So for my conclusions and interpretations, this study supports the idea that feedback is not neutral. Its impact depends on the relational and organizational context within which it occurs. To improve teacher practice and student outcomes, especially in historically underserved schools, school leaders must first prioritize relational trust through consistency and care, cultivate autonomy by affirming teachers as professionals, and then finally frame feedback as a collaborative learning process rather than as a compliance mechanism. These shifts have the power to disrupt patterns of inequity and foster more just, supportive environments for both teachers and students. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your questions and your thoughts.